Thank you. Darn it. All right. All right. Thank you, Karina. I think that was you. Was that you that yelled that out? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. This new Zoom version is different. Okay. Um, let's see here. All right. It is. All right. It is recording. All right. Full disclosure, we're recording. Okay. Again, we're gonna. It's a 2-hour-long lecture. We're going to try to summarize it as quickly as possible. This is what you need to do. You need to take this and turn it into your own objective process. Okay. Students love to critique process. Students love to critique how things are done. Here's your chance. You own your company. You make your own process. Here's your opportunity. You're going to start your own company in this class, right? That means you're going to have to come up with your own process. And so these are just some ideas that we need to take with. So again, this isn't successful if you just copy and paste and fill in the blanks. What you need to do is take a look at a solution and say, how does this apply to me? Okay. All right. All that said, let's go back to the home page and dive into creative briefs. All right. Same thing. Also, if you need additional help with Zoom or Notion, I put a links up right there, so you can just go into their documentation. Yeah. All right. So what we want to do is have a process that doesn't give us anxiety. We want to have a process that doesn't give us panic. We want to have a process that makes our life easier, right? And one of the things I love is setting my own process. Right? And if you're a freelancer, you can have your own process. It's one of the best things about freelancing. It's like, hey, I own my own company. I can work any way I want to. Okay. Right. But if the way you work is producing a subpar product and the way you work is giving you panic, then you need to fix that process. Right. This is where we're getting meta. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some creative briefs. All right, so I went to my former employer and friends at BHW1, and I said, my students think I'm making this up. I need help. And they said, what do you mean? I said, well, even though there's an entire 2-hour long, how long is this course, right? There's an hour and a half course on Lynda on how to do creative briefs. And if we search on Lynda for creative briefs, we're going to get back so many results. And I said, well, this is still not enough. They still don't see how this applies to any of them, right? Like there's just lots and lots of information on this. And I said, can we get the creative brief that we use or that you're all currently using? And they said, no. I said, well, what if we take out some of the secret sauce, like some of the confidential stuff? Can I still get a creative brief? It's like, yeah, sure, why not? Okay. And so what we're taking a look at here is this is a real company. Okay. All right. This is my former employer and blah, 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 award-winning ad agency. They're great people. Okay. And, you know, they're going to work with different clients. They're going to work with different people. Okay. They're going to have different collaborators and freelancers are going to go. And what we need to be able to do, okay, is make sure that we're approaching each project the same. So one of the things that we used to have we show up on Monday morning is we would get this folder, and it was a huge envelope, and the envelope had everything we needed for the project. So if you went on vacation, okay, but there was only one of these envelopes, just one, right? And the envelope had everything that you needed to do work in there. So if someone could sit down, right, and we would share this one envelope, right? And it was this huge clear envelope that had everything we needed for the project. And it kept everybody on the same page. Right? And that's really important, right? So even if you're another myth that I'm trying to spell is like, well, if I'm a freelancer, I'm a team of one. That's not true. As soon as you get a client, you're a team of two. You're not designing for yourself. You're not designing for yourself. You're not designing for yourself. And so you're on a team of two as soon as you get a client. And sometimes your clients want to see, hey, how do you work and what are you doing? Okay. And so that's what we're taking a look at, right? So it's a kickoff. It's a way to spark any project. Okay. And so I'm leery on the word template right there. Like if I had to do it again, I'd probably take that word out. Yeah. It's still in all of my notes. I don't know if it's so much a template, right? Another way I think about it is a framework, right? It's a framework for how you work. Okay, because the template is the same and a framework can change, right? So I'm not doing it live time, right? I'm editing my curriculum development as we speak, right? I would think this is a framework for how to address what you do. Okay. So if you're gonna do logo design, right, and you're not gonna do web development, right, or web design, why would you have questions about web hosting? This is why this isn't a template. And what you need to take a look at is not all templates apply to you, right? What can you pull from each framework? All right, so let's take a look at the first example here. We're looking at this one right here, BHW1 number 1. Okay, and so there are some commonalities, right, to all creative briefs. And one of the first ones is who's the client, right? Another one is when is this thing due? Can someone either put in the chat or yell out what are some common things that would exist across all creative briefs?
Oh, what exactly the project is, like
Uh,
logo or web.
yeah, Trenton, can you? Oh, yeah, good, right? Can you elaborate a little bit more?
Like you're either okay, so you gotta know what the project is, as in like, are you designing a logo? Are you uh, making a website? Are you I blanked. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, if I could paraphrase what you're saying, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? If we can distill it down, like what are you getting paid to do? And I think that's really important. And you wouldn't believe how many projects, right? I hope you don't go into a project that, late into the project and you say, what are we doing here? Right? Like I know enough people who are the entire project team is confused about what has to happen. Yeah. One of my favorite things to do is a client is make my client as a consultant is make my clients argue with each other. Colin, you're weird. No, no, really. You get hired, right, to a project, and these people work together 40 hours a week, right? They all work and they get 40 hours a week in this project, and you get them all into a room and you ask them the same question and you're going to get different answers. That's why there's chaos, right? And you want to create some clarity from all of that chaos. Okay, take your group projects as a student group project. Right? If I ask each one of you in isolation, what is this project about and what are you doing? I'm going to get 3 or 4 different answers, correct? And what we want to do is eliminate all of that. Right? We want to eliminate as much of that as possible. Okay. All right. So this is what would make for the very long lecture. Okay, but we're gonna try to make this as short as possible, right? Meeting notes. Okay, we'll get into meeting notes. Let's take a look at some of the easy ones. Name of the client. Okay, everybody working on it. These are all the people that are working on the project. Okay. So in your own time, I want you to take a look at this. Okay. But really what I want to get to here for lack of time here is this stuff, right? Because this first page here is going to vary depending on the company. It's going to vary depending on the project. This page right here, this is a lot of the writing. This is that recycled paper. This is that scratch paper. This is what I want from you, right? Bad questions to ask a client. What typeface do you want? What color do you want to make it? Then you're not designing anymore. Right? Better questions to ask. What are your goals here? What would you like to see? Right? You can steal my favorite question, right? Snap of your fingers, what would this look like? Right? Have them jump to the end, have them dream. Right? Literally, I'm not trying to sound corny here, but like every client has a dream scenario on what their project is going to look like. And you ask them, what is it they see? Sometimes they're gonna say, like, I want a mansion with robots. Well, that's not realistic. Okay. And every client has their dream scenario in mind. And then what you need to be able to do is kind of take it back. Like what are some of the realities here? Okay. And your creative directors put together these kind of questions. Okay. And some of these questions, may or may not apply to you, but it helps us understand one, the client, and two, the project. This is the easy stuff up here, right? When is it due? What size are we printing to? What mediums are we this is all the easy stuff. The hard part is down here, and I cannot stress that enough. Okay, so let's take a look at the second creative brief. Okay, two-parter, right? You can imagine all the other pages that are a part of all of this. Okay, so this is a lot of what students are looking for. Just give me the deadline and give me the bullet points. Sorry, the industry doesn't work that way. You got to answer very, very, very vague questions like, what is the compelling point here? Okay. And one of the points that I love is the idea of proving it. Okay. So this is their strategy. Their strategy here is to say, well, how do we actually deliver what we say we're going to deliver? Right. You'll say stuff like, well, I want to increase sales. Well, how? Okay. So a client will say to you, is like, all right, I'm gonna give you money to make this commercial for me. Okay. You're gonna make a commercial, you're gonna win an award, right? And your other designers are gonna love this, and your friends are gonna love it, and the commercial is funny and the commercial is engaging, and this is all great. That's all subjective, right? And the client says, well, how did that help me sell more widgets? Well, we made a really cool commercial and we loved it. Well, then what? So then they just threw money away. Okay. And a lot of this is really, there's objective points. And and you have to find that objectivity about what your clients are trying to do. Okay. All right. What is easy one? What is here's this one might be hard. Someone yell out, what is Instagram's objective points? What is Instagram trying to do? They don't charge you any money. Why keep the service around? You're not paying for it. You're actually costing them money.
Would it be to sell ad space?
Yeah, there you go. I'm done. Right? Objectively, it costs them money to have people, right? Trenton kind of hit it on the head, right? It's right. And how do you sell ads? You track your users, right? Like what are you looking at? Have you ever noticed how eerily good Facebook and Instagram ads are? Like it's like you'll be thinking about I don't know, cups or coffee cups one day, and then you have ads for coffee cups. And these ads are really, really good. Okay, because at the end of the day, they still have to, objectively define some of their goals. Okay, with me so far? All right, throw up an emoji, throw up a reaction. We need a name for that. Okay, so all right, so that's my perspective on this. Now, if you need a different perspective, okay, here is what most students are looking for, and here's what not y'all want something different. Um, this is what Linda is giving you, or LinkedIn Learning. Just look at these 10 points. If you do these 10 points, your project will be great. Don't ask me any more questions. Right. So let's be realistic for a second. Right. We have a meeting with the client on Monday. And if you went on Wednesday at 1:30, and if you went through and said, hey client, what is the background? Hey client, what is the overview? The client's gonna be like, why am I doing your work for you? Right? If you went to the client and says, tell me about the visuals that you want on this because it's number 8 out of 10, the client's gonna be like, well, why am I doing your work? What are you designing? What did I pay you for? Right? So client, tell me your competitors. Well, what are we doing as designers? And a lot of design is this right here. So am I saying these are bad 10 points? No. Am I saying all of these points should be used on your project? No. Right? Am I saying are there only 10 points? No. There are way, way, way more points. You need to ask, what kind of work do you want to do? And what do you need to know to do that work as best you can? What kind of work do you want to do? And what do you need to know to do that work as best you can? We good did there? Okay. So Linda's going to walk you through these points. Here are some of the some of the additional questions you can ask, right? All 1 through 10. And for your daily engagement today is to go through some of this stuff, right? Like, so let's go ahead and here, I'll take some questions. I've done a lot of talking. So go ahead and take a look at the 10 things to include in a creative brief. Okay. And I want someone to ask me to elaborate on any one of these. So because this one, this is a long lecture in person. So pick one. Which one?
Not, I mean, pertaining to these 10 things, but more or
Mhm.
less about creative brief, like creative
Sure.
brief in general.
Yeah.
Like, So what if you're a production company and you're doing more in-house stuff and you're not really taking, like, I guess, so to speak, you're not, people aren't asking you to make things, but your in-house production team is making things. What's that creative brief look like?
So give me an example. Would this be like Pixar?
Uh,
Pixar is basically making stuff for
yeah,
themselves.
yeah. So let's say like
Mm,
a big company like Pixar.
okay. Um, they're asking these questions of themselves, but
Okay.
they're also talking to their John Lasseter is head of story at Pixar, right? And just kind of follow me here for a second. His title is head of story, and his job is to make sure that the entire. Let me take a look at this. Okay. I hope it's John Lasseter. It's I know it's Lasseter here. Pixar. Yeah, good. Right. He's head of story at all of Pixar, right? And he's trying to ask these questions is like, well, what's too scary for our audience? And then he's going to have that discussion with his team. Like what's too, you know, currently, like what type of movies should come out? And what other things is do we internally, do we have the technical know-how to do this? Like do we have Pixar really pushes the edge on what they can do, right? And so they need to ask themselves, like, what do we have the expertise and the knowledge in house to get these things done, right? So let's say, I'm gonna give you a very specific example here, right? Let's say John Lasseter says, like, our movies need to look more realistic, right? Like the characters need to look more realistic and lifelike. He's going to go to his teams as well. One of our goals here, let's say one of our 10-point things is, the visuals need to look more realistic, right? And his team's going to go, well, we can't because there's a technical limitation. Like we just can't do this right now. Like maybe in the future when the technology is better. So I would say just because you don't have a client, right, you're still having these meetings internally. And you can ask these questions of your own team. So that was a very roundabout way to answer your question directly. So does that help?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I was just
yeah,
wondering.
yeah. No, companies constantly have a internal discussion about Phil Schiller at Apple is his official title is head of like basically marketing, right? But his team sets which features show up on all of their devices, right? Because if you make a feature that no one wants to buy or that no one wants to use, it's kind of a failure, correct? And this is really this collaborative project here. And so when people hear like, yeah, no, marketing has a huge influence into not how to sell a product, but whether or not a product should exist, that's huge, right? Because the myth is, well, we make something, now you guys go and sell it. That's the myth, right? I designed something, why don't you like it? Right? That's not, the idea here is all the weight has been taken off my shoulders because I did something. That's not the case. It's this real collaborative process. So, anybody else? What I don't want to do in this time is just kind of read through these bullet points. Like that's not that is not the point of this time. This is active discussion time. So
Could you give an example of maybe a very objective, kind of measurable goal for a project or a driver for the third one?
let me see here. Third one.
I think it was the third one, if I'm remembering right.
Okay. Ellie, is that you? Is that right?
Yep, that's me.
Okay. On that top 10 list. Are we taking a look at where drivers?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Let's go ahead and take a look at number 3 here. All right. Let's see what Linda is asking me. Oh, objectively, like I said earlier, about selling more widgets, right?
Yeah.
Basically, Instagram, how do we sell more ad space? How do we get more premium ad space, right? How do we get people to actually click on our ads? So let's say, maybe only 1 in 3 Instagram users will actually follow an ad out. Well, how do we get that to be 2 of 3? Does that help?
I guess I'm just wondering if it
Mhm.
would involve actual research. Like, would you need
Mm-hmm.
to like research somehow into the target audience and then like do research afterwards to see if it improves,
Yep.
or would that be part of being a designer, or would that be more in perhaps UX research or?
I fall into the camp of research is everybody's problem, and I specifically say this in all the UX classes. UX is everybody's issue.
Okay.
Everybody's involved in UX, and so yeah, we're all a part of this. Can I give a quick story if this help answer your question?
Yeah, that's fine.
Here, I'll be quick about this. Long story short, we had to redo the bus pass ordering on this, right? And it was one of those, well, people weren't using the website to order bus passes, and this was like in 2005, 2006, right? 2006, 2007. And we're like, well, how do we get people to buy more bus passes online? Because in 2020, it seems like obvious, right? Why wouldn't you go to the website to buy bus passes? And one of the things that made me feel really, really good is after this was up and running for a couple of months, I got to see the stats on the huge spike. There's a massive spike in online sales, because this is what people would do before. They would walk down to the bus terminal in downtown Spokane, go up to the booth and bypass there. And that's still available today. And some people still prefer that. But so for the client, it did what? It increased bus pass sales, right? It increased sales. People bought more bus passes. For me, I got to see that the thing that I was a part of, right, made everybody's lives easier. So they got to reduce the number of people working at the desk. They got to greatly reduce. I'm trying not to give away too much here, but basically, client sold more bus passes, right? And we were able to see this huge spike in usage, right, after our redesign. So we can say, hey, our redesign was successful. Does that help, Ellie?
Yeah, I think that does help.
Yeah. That's a good question. Yeah.
Mm.
All right. So let's see here. Let's get through this. I'm struggling because I want to talk more about this and I can't. All right. Let's get into this. For what we're going to do is we're going to talk to the client on something Wednesday, okay, at 10:30. And I want you to, have your questions ready. Have your questions ready ahead of time. And I'm being very vague about this because I want you to be able to be flexible enough. Okay? Like you're going to have a lot of varying and differing projects, and you need to have something that is flexible enough for any project. Okay. It's really easy just to say, how, who, and when, and how much. Okay. But I have something to show you that would help with this. Give me a second. What I don't want to have happen right now is us seeing this as an academic exercise. So between Linda and the examples that I've been talking about, okay, I'm actually going to use something that we would do in person. So, and I'm gonna actually put this up on the Notion card here. Okay, can everybody see this creative brief pages template thing? So what we would do in a typical class is actually make this from scratch. Okay. And so we have this long discussion, and then as a class, we go, all right, what do we need to actually put on this blank sheet of paper that we can reuse over and over again? And so I'm going to share this with you, and hopefully this will kind of help us get the ball rolling on this. Right. Easy. Name of the client. Who's the client? Okay. Right. Good. Like, who are you working with? What is this project all about? Okay. And so for the project number, this is one of my favorite things to do because I'm a big nerd, is you can make up any project numbers you like, right? You can code name stuff. If you're, companies code name project all the time. Apple's car project is Project Titan. Microsoft used Longhorn for one of their versions of their operating system. Code names are really, really great. So this is one of my projects. You can do a simple thing as ABC 1, 2, 3 is you basically want to be able to have a reference for all of your projects. Okay. Hopefully you have more projects that you need to have this level of organization. Like I want you to say, I have too many projects. That's a good problem to have as a company owner, right? As a freelancer, as a consultant. Those are good problems to have. Okay. All right, we good in the project number? Client? Okay. The client needs a name and title. Okay. Gotta have a name and title. Okay. And we can skip down here to their contact. Okay. Please don't mess this up. Please don't mess this up because the client that you're going to be meeting with on Wednesday, they've worked with professional practice many times, and there hasn't been one professional practice class that I didn't want to close the door and yell at. Yes, on record, I'm saying this, right? Because they keep messing this up. They mess up the name of the company. Do not mess up the name of the company. Do not learn how to say the contact's name, understand what their title is, right? It's really, really helpful. And where I get really agitated is it shows a level of disrespect for the client when you mess up their company name or their name. Like, get that stuff right. We good in that part? Like, don't mess that up. Okay. Check. All right. Don't say it. Like, I would never say Adidas if I'm working with Apple. You'd be surprised. Okay. I go off on a story. Show of hands. If you know who Kevin Durant is. Okay. Yeah. Show of hands. All right. Kevin Durant went to Steph Curry. Sorry, Steph Curry goes to Nike, and they give you can look this up in your own time. I actually might. Steph Curry goes to Nike, right? And they're trying to woo him, and he's like, I'm just not feeling this. Like, what's going on? Like, why aren't they? They're not making a connection. And the person brings up the slides, right? You can look all this up. This is the real deal. The person brings up the slide at Nike. Here's a Nike designer, right? A Nike marketing team. And guess whose name is still on the slides? Kevin Durant. They didn't bother to change the name on the slides. Don't do that. It is one, it's a fireable offense, right? Two, yeah, you can kind of see the results of that, right? And if you don't know who Steph Curry is, he's a very, very popular and good basketball player, and I'm sure Nike and that individual is still kicking themselves for this. Okay. You would be, there are lots of these kind of example stories. Like, this is where the devil's in the details. Y'all, don't mess this up. Get their name, get their title, get the name of the company right. Always. Okay. All right. Budget and hours. This is hard, right? Don't ask the client how many hours and what's this going to cost. That's for you to figure out. You determine the scope. Then you go back to the client and say, this is how long it's going to take us. All right, contact is going to be like an email and phone. Okay. Or nowadays, ready for this? I'm laughing. Zoom ID. All right. Dates. Only funny to call in. All right. Dates. Start and stop. Okay. Right. I will talk more about managing a project and when we get to our project management lectures. Okay. Directions to hiking or directions to climbing a mountain are easy. Go up. Someone asks you, how do I climb a mountain? It's easy. Go up. If you're going down, you're going the wrong direction. Go up. Colin, this is stupid. Why would you say this? Because that's how we view dates. They're fixed, right? And what you need to figure out is, well, all of the paths, right, to go up that mountain. Every project is going up a mountain. And there's lots of different paths to do this, and the conditions are going to change, and you need to understand that. And that's the best metaphor I can use when we start talking about dates. Okay? You need to get out of that student mindset of just tell me when it's due and I'll get it done. Wrong. Because you haven't looked at all of the possible ways and the possible things that could mess up that. Okay? That's being a professional, right? Seeing all the different ways that things could get held up. Goals are pretty straightforward. Okay. What's the goal for designing a logo? Yell it out. Why am I BMW just redesigned their logo? Why would they spend go ahead?
You want to effectively communicate what the company wants their logo to communicate to the customers or whatever.
But BMW was already doing that. I'm gonna play devil's advocate, Ben. Right? I'm head of money at BMW, right? And you just asked me for millions, tens of millions of dollars to redesign the company logo. I'm not giving you any of this money to pay people and to make commercials until you can justify why. Okay. And so what you just said there, right? Again, right? I'm in charge of the budget here. Like BMW already has that.
I mean, usually, I feel like usually logo redesign comes from the top, from the top down. Usually they're like, hey, we have a different vision now, so our logo should represent that vision,
So you're right, but I mean you're absolutely right there. The point here, the point I'm trying to make here is this is not a bulleted list. Okay. And if you go to the BMW website, if you go to the Dropbox website, if you go to the Uber website, there are massive, massive words written about why the logo got redesigned. And these are the kind of things that you're going to be able to have to justify to a client about like, well, why do you need redesign logo? Oh, because I got to pay my bills this month and I need something to do. Right. And eventually the president's going to come in and goes, why did we spend all this money on XYZ? And you as a designer, you say, here is why we did that. And here is the results of that. Good. Audience. Okay. And this is a little bit vague sometimes if you let it be. Like be specific about who your audience is. Okay. Good. Right. Snapchat. Is Snapchat aimed at an older generation? Yeah or nay?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Not really.
Right. Absolutely true. Right. TikTok is TikTok aimed at grandma and grandpa? No.
No.
That's why you be specific. Be specific. All right. What Ben was talking about in vision is a lot part of the messaging there. Yeah. So for our client on Monday is like basically the message is like, what's the takeaway? Good way to take a look at the messaging is what is the takeaway from all this? What's the feeling, right? Another way to think about a message is after you watch a movie trailer. What's the feeling after watching a movie trailer? Okay. All right. Deliverables are some of the easy stuff. Okay. Deliverables are what students want most of the time. Just tell me what to make. Okay. So using our for lack of time, using our logo redesign project, right? Some of you might want to say a deliverable for that would be like the actual Illustrator file. Right. Sorry, be fair here. The digital file. Okay. What's another deliverable on that, right? Maybe early sketches, right? Another deliverable is your research into all this. And notice I'm kind of working backwards here. Okay. Good. Now who decides these deliverables? You do. Okay. So the client says, I want a logo, right? And what you can't say is, well, how big and what formats? You determine all that. So even if you make a logo for an app, like, oh, I design an app logo, you're going to have to make a lot of different formats for that, right? For each of the platforms, you got to make the 1x version, the 2x version, the 3x version, so on and so on. And this is that mountain analogy again, right? You didn't look too far enough into making an app. Designing an app icon has a lot of different components. What are those components? That's why you're a professional. That's why you're a professional, because you need to be able to determine what those are. Good. Then you take those deliverables and you break it out into tasks, right? And this is all the stuff that shows up on your Clockifier. Okay. All right. If there are no last questions, I'm gonna hit the stop record button because I'm doing my best to stay under here, and it's really hard. All right. Is any last questions? All right.
When will we find out more information about the client again?
It's still working. Let me hit.
Oh, sorry, I'm like talking to.
Okay, Ellie, was that you? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Oh, I heard you better the first time. So whatever you had set up before was good. All right, you wanted to know about the client?
Yes, I was just wondering when we were going to find out the information again.
We're not. And Wednesday at 1:30.